Oh, hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm fine, thank you. What is your name?
I'm Emilia
Good. And what's your last name?
Suviola.
Great. And I'm just going to write down today's date. And what country do I find you in, Amelia?
So I live now in US,
Oh,
originally from Finland. Yeah.
from Finland. Okay, great. Thanks so much for participating in this study on ways of coping with the pandemic.
Yeah,
And I'm
of
going to
course.
ask you some questions about your experience with the pandemic. And I'm also going to write down a few brief notes on your responses. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sure.
Great. Thanks for helping.
Of course.
So, Amelia, this is part of our disaster shock group effort, international effort. And we're really grateful that you're participating. And I wonder if you could tell me, the first question is, how has the pandemic affected your level of stress and behavior?
Um, so I think the biggest thing in my life, since I'm working from home and I have two kids and a husband,
Uh huh.
so it has affected my working life because
Sure.
my because usually my kids go to school and my husband to work, and now we are all here in the in the same house all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that has been the biggest stress for me,
Uh
um,
huh.
or the source of stress. How to kind of combine my own needs and my family needs, and I haven't succeeded so well all the time.
That's right.
But yeah, I think now I have learned better to handle and put boundaries, but it's still daily struggle.
Great, great. So thanks for giving me some detail about how it's really affected you in your home life. And thanks for giving me some examples as well.
Hmm.
And as you know, the pandemic can affect people in many different ways, like affecting our emotions, our finances, our relationships with other people, and so on. What do you think? What aspects of the pandemic have been most stressful for you?
Um, Maybe from that, I think relationships, like my family
Uh
relationships,
huh.
and yeah, as I mentioned, not so much outer world because I'm an introvert. So
Uh
for me,
huh.
it's really easy to be at home. But now, because I cannot be at home at home by myself, so I think it causes more friction between my relationship with my family. And of course, a big thing has been that we cannot travel to my home of origin, to Finland, to see my parents, which are elderly.
Oh, right.
Um, so that's quite hard.
That's hard.
Mhm.
That is hard. So those two main areas have been very stressful for you, right? And
Yes.
what about emotionally?
What do you mean?
How has it affected your emotional life? And if you're not comfortable telling me, that's totally okay.
Um, so I think I struggle with strong emotions in general because I'm really sensitive, and
Mm,
we have different types of personalities at home. So one of my kids is really strong in his emotions, the other one is not. And with the one with strong emotions, I think I need to handle. It's hard to I need to kind of how to handle my own strong emotions. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's hard, and with especially of course with negative emotions like aggression,
Yes.
you know. So it's, and I use meditation to kind of balance
The emotional
myself.
piece.
Yeah.
Good. That's great. Thanks for telling me all those things. Is there anything else, any other aspect of the pandemic that's been stressful for you that I didn't ask you about yet?
Hmm. Sometimes I think with moms that I need to keep my kids somewhat social,
Yeah.
and it's hard to balance, like some moms with like their kids, they like how to kind of find a common ground,
Yes.
how kids can interact with each other. And you know, it's I understand that people have different views and different situations, but
Yeah.
still it's, yeah, it's needs more like kind of it's not that easy to, for example, set up a play date and
That's right. That's
yeah,
right. That's stressful, right? That's what
yeah,
you're saying is
yeah.
stressful. That's right. That's right. Is there anything else that you could think of?
uh, no, but everything needs more more what's the word, planning. So I'm not a big planner.
That's
So
right. That's right. That
that's
could be stressful. That's right.
yeah,
The planning.
yeah, yeah,
That's right. Thanks for thinking of that one more thing. It's true.
yeah.
So, what things, Amelia, have helped you the most, do you think, coping with the pandemic?
So as I said, meditation is for sure that like maybe the first one and the most effective one for me.
Okay.
Mm,
And
so
just out of curiosity, what about meditation helps you?
so it brings me back to my body. So I
Good.
do breathing meditation basically. So I try to concentrate on my breathing,
Right.
and that helps me kind of with my strong emotions. So I and be here and now, just you know, reset my mind.
Resets. Good. Mind,
Yeah.
body. That's what you said.
Yes,
Good.
yes. And setting up routines.
Setting up routines. Okay,
Ye-
good.
uh,
For
so
example, yeah.
for example, that I do morning meditation, and I'm a writer, so I do my morning pages, which means like writing freely for 20 minutes every morning, and setting goals to my work, which are not, the bar is not too high. So, but just to kind of, you know, that they're achievable.
Good, good, good.
And then what else? What did you ask?
I was asking you what has been helpful to you in coping with the pandemic. And the first thing you said was meditating. And then you
Okay.
said setting some goals. Well, actually, you said creating routine and then setting some goals. And that's
So
great.
yeah, yeah. Sorry that I got a phone call. It was actually Jackie who was calling.
Oh, okay. Well, she has the invitation, so hopefully she'll join us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you've given me a few examples. In terms of setting goals, I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about what's helpful for you about setting goals.
So it gives me a structure, so I don't need to be guilty, because if everything is kind of
Yeah.
gray, I don't know I feel that I haven't achieved anything. But if I like even do little steps, what should I do today, and if I achieve them, I can feel okay. So
Good.
I have a tendency to set up my intentions and goals too high. So I just
Right?
try to be good enough.
Great. That's great. That's great information. Thank you. That's perfect.
Yes.
So, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being very stressed and 1 being not at all stressed, how stressed were you in March when the pandemic began? And I'm happy to repeat that question if you need me to repeat it.
Um, yeah, I think I'm okay. I would say in March,
Yeah.
I would say maybe 5.
Okay. Good. And on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being very stressed and 1 being not stressed at all, what was your average stress level over the last 2 weeks?
I would say the same.
The same.
But,
Oh,
well, maybe 6 because the situation has been a little bit more intense now, like past
uh-huh,
few days
uh-huh.
here, like the COVID situation, like the cases are rising.
Okay. Okay. So you're a 6 now, you'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Do you have any family members, relatives, or friends who've contracted COVID-19?
No.
Okay. Good. And how serious do you think the COVID-19 pandemic is? Very serious? Moderately serious? Slightly serious, or not serious at all? Of
Mhm.
those 4, which do you think you'd pick?
Uh, I would say very serious on many levels.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Um, this next question is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to read to you now some different ways that can be used to cope with the pandemic. For each one, please tell me whether you used it or not. And if you used it, was it slightly helpful, moderately helpful, very helpful, or not helpful at all? And as you speak, I'm going to tick off your responses. Do you want me to read the question to you again? These are just different ways to cope with the pandemic. Some of them you will have used, some you won't have used. Of the ones you've used, tell me which ones were slightly helpful, moderately helpful, very helpful, or not helpful at all. Is that
Okay.
good? Okay,
Yeah.
great. We can run through these. You'll know right away. What about talking to a family member? Did you use it or not use it?
As a coping technique,
As
you
a
mean?
coping technique, right?
Um, I don't think so, actually.
You don't think so? Okay, good. What about
No.
talking to a friend?
Yes.
And was that slightly, moderately, or very helpful or not helpful?
Moderately.
Moderately. Okay, great. So I'm just going to put a tick here for moderately. Talking to a friend was moderately
Mhm.
helpful. Great. And what about talking to someone who is a religious leader?
No.
Great. Talking to a nurse or doctor or
No.
okay. What about talking to a healthcare professional?
No.
Okay. And prayer, do you use prayer as a coping strategy?
No.
Okay. And what about learning about coping strategies to deal with some of the things we discussed? Did you use any of those?
Uh, yes, I
Yes.
think, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. What about focusing on positive thoughts? Did you use that or no?
Mm, oh, for the next, even the one previous one, do you want to tick the how effective it was or
Oh, yes,
helpful?
sorry, that's good catch. So learning about coping strategies is a yes. And was that slightly, moderately, very helpful or not helpful at all?
I would say very.
Oh, good. Okay, great. And what about focusing on positive thoughts? as a tool. Did you use that?
Yes.
Good. And how helpful was that? Moderately, slightly, moderately, very, or not helpful at all?
Moderately.
Moderate. Okay, good. And how about listening to music?
Yes.
Good. And how helpful was that to you?
Very.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll put a tick right here. And exercise and movement? Did you?
Yeah.
You did, good.
Yes.
And would you say that exercise and movement were slightly helpful, moderately, very, or not helpful at all?
Moderately.
Moderately, okay. And deep breathing, you mentioned something about breathing earlier. Was deep breathing something that you used as a strategy?
I haven't used intentionally deep breathing, so I would say no.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay. You mentioned something about it being part of a meditation, right?
Yeah, but as I see deep breathing, I didn't. Well, maybe when I'm starting to meditate, maybe I could say yes.
Okay.
It's how you define it, but maybe, yeah.
Well, it's an important distinction because maybe it's not just deep breathing, maybe it's just connecting to your breath.
Yeah, I think when I start to like take deep breaths, like just, and then few times, and then I start to meditate. So if it fits the category, yes.
Okay. And how helpful is that? Because that's what starts you to calm for your meditation practice, right?
Yes. I would say moderately.
Moderately. Okay, good. And progressive muscle relaxation, do you use that?
No.
Okay. And what about avoiding news about the pandemic?
Not with myself. I try to reduce that with my kids, but no.
Okay.
No.
And imagining a positive experience, is that something that you use?
Yes.
And how helpful is that?
Moderately.
Okay, good. What about watching a video on how to cope?
No.
Okay. And sticking to a daily, weekly schedule of activities.
Yes.
That's something you use?
Yes.
Yes. And how helpful is that?
I think very.
Okay, great. So we'll go to the very category here and we'll put a tick right here. And what about avoiding thinking about it? Does that help you? Have you used that?
That's a hard one. I don't think so. No.
Okay. And using humor?
Yes.
Good. How helpful is that?
Very.
Very. Okay, good. And reading?
Well, I read a lot, but I was thinking that is that the coping thing for me?
Do you use it as a coping
Because
strategy?
yes, I think it's my coping technique in general, but I could say it that it's in this situation too. Yeah.
Good. And how helpful is that for you?
Very.
Good. And what about participating in a sport?
No.
Okay. Watching TV or movies?
I would say no. I sometimes watch, but it's not a coping
Not a
thing
coping.
for
Okay.
me. Yeah.
And going for a walk?
Yes.
Good. How helpful is that for you?
Very.
Very. Okay, good. And how about community connection, whether it's a sports community, a religious community, or professional? Is that a coping?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, it is. Yes. And
How helpful is that for you?
very.
Very helpful. Good. And meditation? You mentioned something about meditation.
Yes.
Good. And how helpful is that for you?
Very.
Okay, good. And what about drinking, recreational drinking? Is that something that you do? as a coping strategy.
Yeah, I think I used it like at first, but now I feel that it doesn't work anymore. Kind of, it makes me just tired.
Tired.
So no. So first yes, and then no. I don't know how to put it, but
I'd say no, not right now. You're not using
yeah,
it as a coping.
yeah.
Okay, good. Would you mind sharing some brief information about yourself?
Mhm.
I'm going to read you some different responses, and you can tell me which one applies to you. You can also choose the category that you prefer not to say
Yeah.
the answer, okay? What is your gender?
Female.
Okay, good. And how old are you?
I need to think.
You have to calculate that.
43.
Okay, so you'll be in this 40 to 49 category.
Yes.
How many years of education do you have, Amelia?
So 12 plus 5 plus something, 3. So I don't know.
20? I was doing the math.
Okay.
12
So,
plus
well, let's say, yeah, 18.
18. Okay, good.
Oh, sorry. 12, 5. What's that?
So 12
Well,
plus
yeah,
5,
whatever. 18
12 plus 5
is
17.
17. And
And
then I have, yeah, like after graduation. So I would say, yeah, I think it's 3 years after
so
that.
that's 20.
Yeah,
Okay, good. And what's your marital status now? You could
I'm
also
married.
you're
I'm
married.
married.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And are you living alone? I hear that you're living with a family. You're not
Yes.
living alone.
No.
You're living with one or more people.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would you identify your cultural ethnic identity?
Mm, um, and well, I would say I'm Caucasian.
Okay, great. So is there anything else that you want to say?
No,
No? How was that survey for you?
it's always interesting to be on this side. There comes up things that you haven't thought.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for completing the survey with me and answering all the questions.
Of
And
course.
by doing so, you're really supporting our efforts to help people around the world find better ways to cope with stress in this pandemic. So may this be research be for good, and thanks for being a participant in the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia.
Okay.